Ladies and gents, welcome to another movie file. Today we are reviewing the 1989 movie Caddy Shack. Why am I doing this? Why am I putting out another Bill Murray comedy that I've done so many last week? Well, because of the fact that it's directed by Ramis. Egon! Yes, Mr. Egon Spengler from Ghostbusters. And yes, the gentleman who was behind writing a movie known as... It stars the big comedians of the time in Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield, and also Murray. But Murray does something really particular in this movie, as he's not the biggest star in this film, but he manages to steal the show. He is awesome.
I'm looking at you.
It grossed nearly 40 million in the domestic box office and was the 17th highest grossing film of the year. And also it's garnered a huge cult following. That's one of the reasons why I'm putting this film out there, to show one of the better vehicles where Murray plays a rather small role but encapsulates the whole movie. So let's go to the plot. Danny Noonan, played by Michael O'Keefe, works as a caddy in an upscale Bushwood country club.
If you want to be fancy, hold your pinky up like this.
Danny regularly caddies for T.Y. Webb, played by Chevy Chase.
Apparently my sperm shoot through the egg like bullets. Can you believe that?
Free-spirited golfer and the playboy son of one of Bushwood country club's owners. Danny attempts to gain favour with Judge Elihu, who's the director of the caddy scholarship program, because one of the caddies died out of stress. When a potential disastrous gopher infestation happens, the assistant to the groundskeeper, Bill Murray, part up with the task of getting rid of the gophers. To hilarious consequences. Now, instead of going too much into this movie and about Danny's experiences, that's not the funniest thing in this movie. You see cut sequences between Murray and the gopher. There's hilarious consequences to Murray's actions, as he accidentally blows up the majority of the golf course and costing the judge a game where he loses 20 grand to Rodney Dangerfield's character, Al Chevik, where the judge becomes enraged and nearly attempts to throw everything out and disowns Danny, who then decides that he doesn't want to go to university, he just wants to do whatever the hell he wants with his life, so there's no resolution there. But he also has funny little moments where he's trying to drown the thing and ends up costing the whole golf course to go flooded, and also gets a Catholic priest electrocuted. I'm not kidding. There's also a fun moment that's been parodied from this movie in The Simpsons, where Rodney Dangerfield goes to everyone, "We're gonna get laid," and then you hear the music of "Any Way You Want It" being played over the speakers while everyone dances.
Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy.
The judge refuses to pay the 80 grand that he owes Chevik, and then gets himself harassed by two big men while he runs across the course. It's one of those funny frat movies in a sense with this. It's a fun movie where you can sit down and watch it, but you're not really watching it for the underlying story, you're more watching this for the joke. And in a sense, Murray was the best thing about this movie. He made the role, he was the thing that emphasised this movie. Even the fact that his character was really marginal, he just managed to excel. And it's so funny because of the fact that he plays a character that's basically suffering from some sort of disability. This film, everybody basically gets overshadowed by Murray's character because of the fact that his character is really emphasised in this, where he has his battle of wits with the gopher. Rodney Dangerfield is Rodney Dangerfield. He had a career of him just being himself basically in every single movie that he's ever been in, and he is funny to actually watch and, you know, see what he's doing. But Chevy Chase, again, he made a career being a smooth, sophisticated, rather comedic person when he wants to be, but then went from this movie doing the National Lampoon's Vacation films and then ended up on Community. He is a funny guy, but it wasn't really emphasised in this. He was just playing sort of the smooth, rather sophisticated layabout. Ted Knight as the judge, he was one of those guys where you had loads of mean things happen to him because he was the antagonist of the movie. So every time he tries to do something to show off his wealth, he ends up in a rather sticky situation, such as having Danny sleep with his daughter and then run into the shower half naked where the judge's wife was waiting for Danny to give her one too. Danny ends up legging it out of the place and, you know, being humiliated by the situation, but still ends up managing to embarrass the judge further and further as the film progresses. So we can see a pattern with his character, and this was a sort of in these types of movies, this was the common consensus, really. It was the general consensus of the film, where you'd have the bad guy, he gets humiliated, and everybody else parties. They were kind of the anti-establishment, where he was the establishment. Michael O'Keefe, there's not really much to say about him, because he's a guy that I can't really remember. He played the role as Danny quite well, but the film tend to not focus on him, rather. You know, it kind of skewed and chopped up and focusing on the other characters and the variations of what they were going through. But Danny would always get put into funny situations where he would react to the way these situations were happening around him. We even had like funny jokes like a chocolate bar in the pool, which everyone thought was a turd. So this is how the comedy sort of derives in this movie. Now, let me go to my score between, as you know, the 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. I give this movie a 3. Reason being, even though it's funny and it has its funny Murray moments, it's not the best film that I've ever seen. In a sense, it was for that day and age where comedy kind of held above everything else and there wasn't much focus on a story, but it was just really a bland story. You know, the whole following the main character of Danny and focalising on him, O'Keefe didn't really do that great a job with his character. He was just stale. And if you're looking to go to Chevy Chase to find your laughs, he's not really that funny either. He plays this playboy character who's always very suave and sophisticated and gets one up on the judge. Again, he's not the best thing about this movie, but when you go to Dangerfield and Murray, they make me laugh. You know, their comedy is nonsensical, it was hilarious. Murray's comedy with him going after this gopher, he made it his own. It was so funny every time he had his scene, and it kind of stole the show. And, you know, a shout out has to go to the gopher himself, to the fact that this little animatronic thing, every little moment, every little movement, every little reaction was funny. It was hilarious. But by far, this isn't the best thing that Ramis has directed. You know, knowing his body of work, if you look at Stripes, if you look at Groundhog Day, if you look at other movies that have had his friend Bill Murray in them, this isn't the best. They've even had a point where they had to do a recut of this film in the Netherlands to emphasize Murray's role because of the fact that this movie wasn't really doing well worldwide. Yes, it has a 75% aggregator on Rotten Tomatoes, but that could be based solely on the fact that Murray was the best part about this movie. If you don't believe me, check out Caddyshack 2, which got less of a review and everyone tends to forget about it because of the fact that the movie emphasized everything that this movie had but took away what made it good. So there you go, guys. I'm sorry, it's just the fact that I couldn't get myself into this movie in a sense of story and structure, and also in the sense of acting, because there wasn't really much there. It was a bunch of comedians being funny, and that's pretty much, you know, that can't be the basis of a film. You need story, you need structure, you need a point where you have these jokes fill in, and I think if the movie was just about Murray going after this gopher, it probably would have been better. There you go. At least this movie made Murray's career. It brought him from being this guy in obscurity to this comic genius who, you know, he surrounded the 80s and the 90s and encapsulated them with his comic styling. And that's all from me about this, guys. If you want to check out more of my stuff, go on to Twitch TV, check me out there, and you can also check me out on a series of podcasts. I'm guesting today on the Dace Man Show. I'll be on I Got Gameplay on Saturday, where I'll be talking about troll gamers, people who go into your game and decide to take whatever they want when they're doing online multiplayer. And also I'm celebrating Bill Murray Week by going on to fanboysanonymous.com and checking out my various articles on Bill Murray, including Bill Murray in comics and Bill Murray in games. So check those out, guys, and let me know what you think. And remember, if it's not Murray, it's not worth it. So I'll see you then, guys.